I'm first speaker, right, Eric?
Yeah. Hello and welcome back to another exciting edition of Talking with Famous People. Debate, throwdown, generational warfare, intergenerational warfare. Adults versus middle schoolers. All right, so it's host Zach, host Eric. We're on the neg side. We're going first. So Zachary's going to read the neg case. When somebody's reading a speech, we should all go pause on our camera, or you could, if you want to go, go pause on your camera, and that way we'll give him all the bandwidth, basically. Okay. And then when he's done, we'll come back on. Oh well, Bran of course didn't hear me or shut it off. Okay, fine, no problem. We're recording. All right, Zach, we're good to go when you are. Who's timing it? Edmond, are you timing the round?
All time.
Yeah,
All time.
sure, I'll time it.
Oh yeah, we should try.
Yeah.
We should all try to
3,
time ourselves in general.
3 minutes, right?
Yeah. No, four minutes.
Oh, it's 4?
4 minutes opening speech. Yeah,
Okay. Let me know when you guys are ready.
I'm ready.
Edmond?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. Time starts now. Okay, framework. Definition 1. Democracy, defined by dictionary.com, is a form of government characterized by formal equality of rights and political or social equality. Observation 1. The affirmation has the burden to show if the U.S. even has the ability to change an ODMP or else they are being too vague and can't win the round. Criterion. Cost-benefit analysis. Reason to judge using our definition criterion. 1. Optimizing democracy creates equality which impacts the U.S. most beneficially. Core Act 2012A. The 5 impacts of inequality that promoting democracy fixes to the U.S. 1. Social mobility and education. Unequal societies have less social mobility and lower scores in maths, reading, and science. Economic impacts. 2. Less equal societies have less stable economies. High levels of income inequality are linked to economic instability, financial crisis, debt, and inflation. 3. Trust, participation, attitudes, and happiness. Inequality affects how you see those around you and your level of happiness. People in less equal societies are less likely to trust each other. 4. Health. Living in an unequal society causes stress and status anxiety, which may damage your health. In more equal societies, people live longer and are less likely to be mentally ill or obese. 5. Crime. Inequality increases property crime and violent crime. Contention 1. Bill of Rights. 10th Amendment tag. To vote affirmative is to vote for the federal government, violating state government sovereignty and individuals' rights. The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. Definition of enumerated powers. Gussman 2016. Enumerated powers are powers given to the federal government by the terms of the U.S. Constitution. Look, Judge, in order for the federal government to host a one-day national primary, it would violate the Constitution, Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution. It states all the federal government's enumerated powers, none of those include election power. Therefore, as proven by the 10th Amendment, those election powers go to the state government and their regular citizens. Edition 2, Chapter 2012A. A one-day national primary is unfair and unbiased to certain groups of people in 3 ways. Warrant 1. A national primary would give a huge advantage to better-known, better-funded candidates, since only they would be able to finance the expensive advertising and large campaign operation needed to run a national get-out-of-the-vote effort in all states. Lesser-known candidates without extensive campaign operations would not have an opportunity to reach out to voters in a retail-style fashion and build support. Warrant 2. Densely populated states with higher delegate counts would become the dominant focus of the campaigns and the media. Voters in small and mid-sized states would largely be ignored. It would limit the number of viable candidates and severely reduce choices for the American electorate. Warrant 3. State party leaders would no longer have the flexibility to set their primary dates according to state-specific considerations, such as redistricting issues, state holidays, or other state and local elections. My third warrant extends my first contention and explains the harms to the U.S. because the primary power has been taken away from the state government. Contention 3, Chapman B. Tag. Proof of a one-day national primary not working. If you want evidence of why a national primary won't work, just look at 2008. At least 24 states held a primary on February 5th, resulting in what was essentially a de facto national primary. Super Tuesday became Tsunami Tuesday. The situation was so bad for overwhelmed campaigns, party leaders, and election officials that the two parties worked together to ensure their rules for 2012 would help avoid a repeat. Look, Judge, only a half-national primary, 24 states that win, led to a disastrous situation that led the two parties to work together to make sure the same problem didn't happen again. If we go with what the AF is advocating for, which is a one-day national primary, we can expect it would effectively double the amount of states that would participate and would be twice as bad as a disaster that Tsunami Tuesday led to. So for the affirmative to justify switching to this unconstitutional position, they would have to somehow argue or prove to us that all the economic impacts we listed, the five ones, social mobility and education, the economic impacts, trust and happiness, health and crime, are all somehow alleviated if we switch to their unconstitutional system. And that's time.
Cool. Good. Okay, who's first speaker on you guys's?
Me,
All right, go ahead, Edmond.
Edmond.
Wait, hold on one second. I need to get a piece of paper so I can flow this stuff. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. Everyone ready?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so time starts now. Hello, my name is Edmond, and this is my partner Brandon, and we stand in firm affirmation of this resolution. Framework crystallization. This topic necessarily requires the debaters to engage framework seriously in order to enable a meaningful clash and evaluation of the round. At the end of the day, it's going to come down to who better proves the sentence. My side is more fair to everybody under the four mathematically validated voting fairness criteria: the majority, Condorcet, irrelevant alternatives, and monotonicity criteria. Observation 1. A voting fairness criteria is a way to mathematically determine when a given election disenfranchises voters. Condition 1. BU 2011A. Tag. Early voters have 5 times more influence. Voters in early primary states have a disproportionate influence on who gets elected. Voters in states with earlier primary races have up to 5 times the influence of voters in later states in selecting presidential candidates, according to research by Brown University. That early voters have a disproportionate influence validates one person, one vote, a democratic ideal on which our nation is based. Contention 2. Harms of disenfranchising voters. Subpoint A. Driver 2016. If African Americans can be said to be disenfranchised in the presidential nomination process. Very few African Americans are eligible to cast ballots in those all-important contests, an unfortunate circumstance that has the effect of muting black voices in the nomination process. Subpoint B. Most candidates drop out by the time most voters go to the polls. October 2009. In 2008, the field of presidential candidates was reduced from 16 with active campaigns to just 2 viable Democratic candidates by the South Dakota and Montana primaries, June 3rd. Convention 3. Any alternative is preferable to the status quo. Flaherty 2016A and VFH-A. Subpoint A. The status quo fails the test of the majority criterion. The majority criterion states that a candidate who gets more than half of the first place votes should always be the winner. A reasonable requirement, right? Yet presidential voting could fail that test, as in 1876 when Samuel Tilden had 51% of the popular vote but still lost to Rutherford B. Hayes. Subpoint B. The status quo fails the test of the Condorcet criterion. An election violates the Condorcet criterion if some candidate is preferred head-to-head over against every other candidate but ends up still not being the winner of the election. Even though Trump had the most first-place votes, the majority of voters ranked him as their least favorite candidate. Most Republicans would have picked Cruz or Rubio over Trump in a head-to-head matchup. Yet when only first-place votes count, Trump wins. Seem unfair? That's a typical presidential primary election for you. Subpoint C. The status quo fails the test of the irrelevant alternatives criterion. An election violates the irrelevant alternatives criterion if having a loser changes who wins the election. A typical situation in which the irrelevant alternatives criterion can be validated happened in 2000 with Nader. If Nader had dropped out, many people believe that Gore would have defeated Bush. Subpoint D. The status quo fails the test of the monotonicity criterion. An election violates the monotonicity criterion if you can turn the winner into a loser by moving the winner up the preference list on some of the ballots. Plurality with elimination violates monotonicity. In elections, C is the winner by this method. But if in a re-election, the two voters in the last column switch their votes and move C ahead of B, the winner of the re-election is B. Condition 4. The pairwise comparison voting system, that's one of the alternative voting methods only available in a one-day national primary, meets 100% of the available mathematically validated voting fairness criteria. Subpoint A. The pairwise comparison voting system satisfies 3 of 4 criteria. Pairwise comparison voting system matches candidates head-to-head and tallies points like that. Pairwise comparison satisfies majority criterion. A majority candidate will win every head-to-head comparison. Satisfies the Condorcet criterion. By definition, a Condorcet candidate is one that wins every head-to-head comparison, so this candidate always wins. So satisfies monotonicity. If in a re-election the votes change only to favor the previous owner, there can be only more head-to-head wins for the candidate that already had the most head-to-head wins. Subway B, analytic. A one-day national primary removes the one criterion that the pairwise comparison voting system fails to meet. This criterion is irrelevant alternatives, which states that a candidate dropping out changes who wins the election. In a one-day national primary, a candidate has no need to drop out since results of votes come after all voting is done.
Okay.
May as well keep your webcam on pause, and then that way.
It's fine. It's fine. Whatever they do, that's fine. The way they're doing it. Okay, so it's Edmond and Zach in the cross now.
Wait, so let me. So how does the cross work? We both allowed like one question each, like it goes back and forth, or how does is there like
no? It's just you. There's no rule to it. It's just you guys start asking and answering questions. But basically the way it works is if you just answered a question and your opponent asks another question, you can say, well, I'll tell you what, you answer my question first, and then I'll go. I mean, you can say, all right, well, let me ask a question first, and I'll answer yours. That's fine to say that if you just answered one, right? To insist on having your turn. But if you don't insist on having your turn, it's fine for you to push and have the other guy answer 4 or 5 questions if you want. If they let you. If the other guy lets you do it.
right?
There's no firm rule about it.
Should we start now or
Yeah, start it up.
last?
Okay, so time.
Or how long does it last?
3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Okay. I'm ready when you're ready.
Okay, time starts now. So your framework talks about optimizing democratic processes, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And you read this Korak 2012 card stating 5 impacts of inequality?
Mhm.
Okay. And also for your observation 1, so you stated that the app has to show that the U.S. has the ability to change to a one-day national primary.
Yeah. The U.S. If you're going to affirm that we should change to a one-day national primary, you've got to prove to us somehow that it isn't unconstitutional. Which, if you look at the Bill of Rights and the 10th Amendment, which they simply don't. They don't have they're not. It's not included within the list of enumerated powers. It's unconstitutional.
I'm talking about your observation 1. So we have to show only the if we have the ability, right?
Yeah,
So you link it with your constitutionality argument?
Yeah. Well, you don't have the ability because it's unconstitutional.
Okay. But doesn't your contention 3, you show evidence of a one-day national primary not working? Isn't that evidence that we can change to a one-day national primary?
No, it's evidence that within there was a small bit of centralization within one of the within Tsunami Tuesday that would be similar to the implementation of a one-day primary. What they did was legal, but it was disastrous. So it serves as an example of what would happen if we did move towards if hypothetically it was legal to move towards a one-day primary, just how disastrous it actually would be.
So you're still saying that it was only similar to a one-day national primary, right? You're not saying it was exactly using a one-day national primary.
Well, it's the same centralization of power, which is what a national primary would do.
How's it centralizing power?
Well, it's giving it to the hands of the government to instead of giving the states have a sovereignty to host their own caucuses and get opinions and voices and votes from their own people. And when you switch to a one-day primary, the states no longer have that right. Now the government steps in and says, hey, well, now we are going to tell the states and the people how to do this because we have more control over them. It just boils down to the government wanting more control over the people. That's all it is.
You mean your evidence of a one-day national primary not working? you're saying that evidence shows the centralizing power is bad?
Yeah.
But I don't understand, like, when does it centralize more power? In your
Edmund, ask him to read the part of the card that says it. Right?
Okay.
If he's trying to dodge, if your opponent's trying to dodge like that, the fact that the link is analytic, is not really in the card, right? Just cut to the chase.
I
Can
was
you read
hoping
the?
you wouldn't ask me why it was disastrous because I could not respond to that.
He's like, can you
Oh,
please read the part of the card that says the reason it was disastrous is because it combined it all on one day, or that it centralized power. And besides which, though, Edmund, you are on the right track with the centralization thing. You say, but it didn't centralize power at all, did it? Because it still had the same number of different states. They just chose to chose to do it on the same day,
Well,
right? So,
this
okay.
is that time to ask this, but why did the tsunami Tuesday though? I haven't even looked at any of this stuff.
it just says. I mean, it's in you read it in the case, right? Isn't that in our case?
Well, all it says is that it didn't work and that they agreed that they wouldn't let it happen again. Then we say it's disastrous. That's all we
Well,
say.
I think that that you argued it how we want to argue it, basically. But we just hope they don't say, "Well, that's not centralization of power." They probably won't. We have to. It's not just a matter of trying to get the argument that ultimately wins the chain best if we had infinite time. You want to argue this like Zachary just argued it, okay? When you're arguing that side, which is you say, "Yeah, whatever." Anyway, let's continue. What is it? My speech? My
Yeah.
speech, huh? All right. Um, which case did you guys read?
Full AF case, Edmund's conflicted copy, I think. Yeah.
Full off case Edmund's conflicted copy, huh?
I'll save it again. Maybe.
Okay, I just got to get it from Dropbox. Hold on. Let's stop this video and start a new one.